name is Jessica Dumas. I'm the Indigenous Communication or Indigenous Programs Communications Consultant. So thank you so much. I'm happy to see everybody here. So before we start, I want to mention that the event is being recorded, but it's just the speakers that are being recorded, so don't worry about getting caught on tape. And also before we begin, I'd like to call up Barb and Clarence Neepnak for our opening prayer. I do, I'm sorry.
Only once I challenged the crowd. They had asked us to sometime before to say a prayer for an opening, and we were there, and then the organizer was there with us, greeted us and everything else. Never offered the tobacco, so when I got up there I said, too many times this happens. Our people are asked to say prayers, and the prayer that we say is not for us, but to ask the spirits, our grandfathers. I said, what am I going to ask them? They all were quiet, and then I said, where's the tobacco? And Robert Olette came running up and offered me tobacco. So he knew exactly what I was getting at because he was sitting at the back and the guy sitting next to him smoked, so he asked him for 2 cigarettes. Anyway, I'll say a prayer. And my prayer will be to ask the Creator and our grandfathers from all 4 directions to guide us in today's undertaking here, and so that the decisions we make will be the right decisions. So,
and I'll do the water blessing. The tradition that I was raised with and born with. I came from a family of 9 girls, and we're always taught to acknowledge the spirit of the water, the importance of our water, because that's our role as Anishinaabe women, to acknowledge that spirit of water. And I would encourage you to practice this in your own way as well. But the importance of water and how accessibility is so important, and I ask the Creator to look after our people that are suffering on this earth, as well as from all 4 directions, the people that want to have access to clean drinking water. And that's what I pray for. And I also pray for each and every one of you and our children and our grandchildren, and that we live a good, healthy life. So with that, I'm going to say my prayer in my language. My traditional name is Tunutanabur woman, Mishobinesikwa, their clan. So with that, I'm going to say my prayer. Mishobinesikwa, Nibumakwa, Doden, Indian Mahali, Mijibo, Assembly, Wanchip, Megari, Mitwan, Wendy, Chinanda, and Nishinawa, and my children, as I said, the Madis, Beggar going to check when I'm not the Bear. Gave now just was said among Chariash to me now. Could have been on Jimmy Nanik, that Kovachinanik, Miwe, Kaisha, Namia, and way, Beggar, where Akchina the Mangwenibe. Megakishaman, the way she was sent along. One was already wishing on Wabadeshina. quick chichiro dia, no big chishawan dia. A big him is here, get the mouse to the shinabe. Get the market on the shinabe, came on the shore, but Marcus is marking. Big him is here, hot at the took here, come she ought to work. My happy shot and the market and gave, Marcy, the salad now. But the struggle with me, what's the Navishaman to long much megaki to one and maybe the chin end of playing my Irish up in my all my Western to my Irish up to all my relations. Thank you.
Thank you very much for opening us up with that prayer. So, Louis Riel said that my people will sleep for 100 years, but when they awake, it will be the artists who give them their spirit back. So I don't think that anyone in this room would doubt that allowing your creativity to flow gives you a sense of freedom. Indigenous people in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and Canada have had some pretty historic advancements in the last few weeks and months with regards to recognition of gaps and acknowledgement of the history and the promotion of issues. So ACI's contribution to these advancements in the Indigenous Artist Needs Assessment, which is available today. So if you haven't had a chance to grab a copy, please do that before you leave today. And so what we intend to do with this report is to share with you what Indigenous artists need for their success and what they need for their creativity to flow. So I would first like to acknowledge all of the art that's around the room on the walls. And this art is available for sale by visiting Nietzsche Niche, which is on the second floor of Nietzsche Commons on Main and Euclid, if you haven't been there. So definitely visit and have a look at this beautiful art. And thank you very much to Arlie Ashcroft. Where's Arlie? There she is. Who is operations manager and curator at Nietzsche Niche. So thank you for bringing and setting all of that up for us to see today. So I would like to call up Thomas Sparling, who is ACI's executive director.
Thanks, Jessica. Thanks, Barb and Clarence. And thanks to Barb and Clarence, too, for sticking around for many years. I'm 2 weeks shy of being at ACI for 9 years, and it's been a very long and interesting journey. And in the Aboriginal and Indigenous program areas, it's been quite an adventure. I came to ACI and Jamie Isaac, who's now at the Winnipeg Art Gallery, was our Indigenous program manager, and she was part of Urban Shaman and very much about urban contemporary Aboriginal art. And after Jamie left, Sherry Starr came. Sherry was very embedded in traditional art and powwow dancing, and I was sort of like, wow, okay, wait a minute. And then we had Leah Fontaine for a while, and now we have Kate and Jessica, and a great team going forward. And there's been all sorts of people along the way that have helped. Ruth Norton and Elder from Saguin, Leslie Spillett from Gunniganichuk, Stu from CHT, and dozens of different Indigenous artists who've been part of our advisory councils over the last number of years have come and gone, and it's really opened my eyes to both the breadth of Indigenous art in Manitoba, but also some of the issues and some of the unique challenges and things that have to be taken on. And I had no concept of this when I started. And I was just talking to Barb about this, but I remember it was a number of years ago now. We weren't in this space. We were over on Albert Street, and Barb and Clarence came in, and I said, that's it, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I don't know what to do. I'm going here, there, and the other, and we're not making any progress. Nothing's happening. And Barb said, don't worry, we'll help you. We'll give you some direction. And then Clarence looked at me, and all of a sudden he got really stern, and he said, but you have to make it work. And then he laughed. I was like, okay, I'm not sure if he's joking or... But the laugh was something that I learned that I really like having meetings with Indigenous people more than a lot of my other meetings because I laugh way more. Everybody laughs. And you know, we have these meetings and there's no Indigenous people and we're all very serious and it's like the end of it all, okay, good meeting. And it's like, okay, well, wow, that was really draining. But when we have these meetings with Indigenous people, there's lots of laughter. And Ruth said, well, it's because we've had so much sadness, we just want to laugh now.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that about it. And I think that I went back to that moment all those years ago because I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't think we can do this. I just don't know how. We don't have enough resources. We don't have a focus. We don't have anything. And Clarence and Barb said, no, we can do this. And Jazz helped and a number of others came along and we went down this journey. And so it's been about 4 years now to get to the point where we have this document. And I think it's a watershed moment for our programs at ACI because we have a team, we have focus. We have our Ujitun program, which is to teach artists to teach and to share, to teach artists to be teachers. And we developed that with Leah and Ruth over the last number of years. And there's more than 20 artists who are already registered for this program in February. And with MAC, Manitoba Arts Council's artists in the schools, there's work for them there when they come out of this program. We worked with the Cultural Human Resource Council, who've developed an Aboriginal Art of Managing Your Career, and we're going to be delivering a Train the Trainer program in March, where we're hoping to have a cohort of trainers who can do business training that is imbued in Indigenous and cultural teachings and ways, and we have a number of people for that, and we have so we have programs, we have participants, we have a plan, and I'm really thankful. So I hope, Clarence, that we're moving forward in a way that you appreciate. So we've also got something that the needs assessment really talked a lot about the need for mentorships, and so we've developed a concept paper for Indigenous arts mentorships that we're going to be sharing and looking for partners to deliver in the coming months. And so I'm really excited because I think for the first time in ACI's Indigenous program history, we actually have a focus and we have people who are engaged, and I feel like in some small way we're going to be able to make a difference. And I also hope that the needs assessment helps other organizations and other programs as well. So I don't think there's much in the needs assessment that's groundbreaking, but I think it really does provide us with a clear path forward. So thank you all for coming today, and thanks for your support, and I look forward to an exciting future.
I'd like to invite up the Aboriginal Art Consultant for Manitoba Tourism, Culture, Sport, and Consumer Protection, Stuart Danomi.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Bonjour. My name is Stuart, also known as lauched cake, Indigenous class from the wolf clan. This is it is a watershed time, a moment in our collective history in Canada. And what's really groundbreaking has been the release of the TRC report and the truth that it's been telling, it's been bringing out, and what's really critical about Aboriginal art in Canada right now is that it really Aboriginal art is at the lead of our collective identity as Canadians, because we've never been able to share. We've never been able to get into the mainstream of what our ideas are, our ways of knowing, and our sense of what is beautiful, an aesthetic, an Aboriginal aesthetic. And what has been difficult in our history so far, and I don't want to turn this into a big lecture, but is that we've dealt with this wall of misinformation, a wall of dispossession, okay, right? But it's our stories It's our what we see, what we share with our children, you know, and what we share within our own families that is massively beneficial to all of us as Canadians, as a collective identity. And the really unfortunate thing is that we've been up against this primitivism of ideas that was not strong enough, or I mean, like our community, our culture, and our ways of seeing were not sufficient or relevant to the mainstream, and that has caused us to be very, very possessive of our own culture, and you know, we see these ideas of cultural appropriation and stuff, and we get very, very possessive of those things. With this report and with everything that we're going through all across Canada, this is an opportunity for all of us to share our ideas, to collaborate, and to build meaningful partnerships in the effort of identifying what it is to be Canadian. To be Canadian is to include Indigenous people. Our culture, our identity is purely Canadian. Nowhere else in the world is it. Right? Nowhere else in the world. You lose Aboriginal people in Canada, you lose them everywhere. And now, and Louis Riel was such a great visionary to see that that's through art is the way our way back. And I really want to acknowledge our elders that are here today, our leaders in our community, our leaders in government, in our artists, and all of our artists, to understand that this is a huge opportunity to come to terms, come to a meeting place of understanding. So I really wanted to thank everybody for inviting me here, and my contribution to this is very proud of, and contribution to the community is wonderful. So Igwe, didn't ask me anything. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stuart. One of the reasons I really enjoy working here at ACI is because everybody is so passionate about the work that they do. So thank you for sharing that. And I'd also like to call up Barbara again and ask if you would share some comments about your experience on your journey with ACI from where we've come and being involved with the report and all of that stuff.
Yes, I remember coming here and seeing Tom, you know, pasty white-looking guy there, you know. And I said, look, I think this guy needs help. I think he doesn't know what he's doing. Which is okay, because the important thing is he listened. And it's not just my voice he listened to the community's voices. I remember when Jazz and I did the needs assessment in the community, it actually, the interest came from the community itself. It goes back prior to that. I remember we were doing work for APTN at that time, and there was a struggle to find First Nation speakers. You know, it just snowballed from there. There was other things that were happening in the city, and there was no, all the artists were working in isolation. They were all vying for the same money in the government, you know, and it was just like a big struggle. So then when we called people in the community, and I don't remember if any of you were in those sessions, but we called a number of people. You know, Jazz had her selection of, you know, her networks, and I had my networks, and people came together at the Thunderbird House, and we started talking to see what their needs were, because my needs were different from an artist, and so forth. So, you know, and then all of a sudden it just grew from there. It was just huge, the turnout that we had, and I think it was kind of overwhelming for us, because we didn't really know what that turnout was going to be, and what was going to become of this. And but there was a lot of good ideas identified. People were now all of a sudden networking and supporting each other, and so that was huge for our community, because nobody had ever organized anything like that before. And I remember going home and I saying to myself, are we doing the right thing? You know, are we on the right path? You know, and sometimes you feel like you're not on the right path, because sometimes you feel like people are not listening or they're not getting it, you know. But in this instant, you know, people understood, because everybody had the same passion and everybody had the same interest, but we all had a different way of approaching things. There was a lot of work that went into this. It wasn't just me, myself alone, or Jazz that did that. It was other community members. And when we appreciated that and we acknowledged that, and we had so many people. We had university students, we had leaders, and we had, you know, community, you know, closet artists, you know, we had all those people. And I was so sorry we could never follow up on that or take it to the next level, but maybe that's something that we can probably work on. You know, and over the years, I've seen how culture and arts has progressed. Yesterday, there was a big gathering at Canada Inns with Travel Manitoba. Tomorrow, there's a big meeting there with deputy ministers, specifically talking about arts and culture. And luckily enough, we were invited to be a part of this. I asked one of the community people, I said, are you going to this event on Thursday? She says, oh no, she's only the higher ups go. I said, no, I'm going. But you know, it makes me feel good that we're a part of that. We're networking with those deputy ministers across Canada, and we're hearing what they want. You know, we're hearing what their wishes are. And one of the things we talked about was authenticity. That's huge. The other day I was watching TV and I was watching this woman, and she was producing these rocks that she was painting on. So they asked her, she was not Indigenous, so they said to her, did you get a vision, like how did you prepare, how did you come to this conclusion that you wanted to market these stones? I mean, she's selling these things by thousands every day. And she said, well, I had an opportunity to visit Australia, and there was an artist there. And I got a rock from her. And she says, now I've come back here and now I'm doing this. She doesn't understand why she's doing it for. She doesn't understand because we've traveled to Australia and we know some of the people there, the local artists, and they talked about the significance of the rock, what the symbols mean. What does the white dot means? What does the black dot means? There are meanings behind that. So now you have this woman who's mass producing this stuff, shipping it across Canada, and she's putting her own label on it. You know, you talk about it, exploitation. You know, it just hurts me when I see that. Even now I go down to the Forks, you know, we do a lot of work at the Forks, and it's incredible what happens. So we have to take we have to take it to the next level, and we have to be able to address those things. Because it's important not just to retain our own authenticity, but for the future of our children, our grandchildren. And I think coming here today, getting organized, having support like Tom is giving, and whoever is going to give that support, Stewart's department, you know, it's important. And I appreciate all of you for being here today. And because I see big things coming from this. It's not just the launch. It's each and every one of you taking it to the next level and how you're going to take it. I know you're an artist yourself, you know. I know that because I see what you do in the community, same thing with Kona and a bunch of other people here. And I value those networks. And Carol, and I remember years and years ago saying, you know, oh, the police should do, you know, the paramedics should have, you know, training, and so we're complaining about this and that. Well, you know, it paid off because now it's mandatory for them to do that. But you know, that's how we need to be able to build those connections with other people, not just with our own Aboriginal people, and to be able to be proud and promote our product. And every time we have visitors, we go down to Nietzsche Commons because that's one of the big places to go to. If you want to eat, if you want to shop, it's right there. So I encourage all of you. You know, when you have visitors, take them down there. Take it to the Forks. You know, we're talking about language earlier. If anybody is interested, we're starting our Ojibwe class for 5 weeks, I think it is, at the Millennium Library. And we're doing it for 45 minutes at lunch hour. And so it's open to everybody. It's free of charge. You can just come and go and register. And, but it's to reach the working group of people that work downtown and to be able to, and we're just doing basic introductory stuff for them. And so I encourage you to come and see us there. Also come and see us at the Forks for the next 7 weeks. We're doing bannock making on Sundays. It's going to be our 17th year. And when people say, well, where have you been? I said, well, I've been in a teepee for 17 years. But you know what started out as volunteering and to make sure that we have an Aboriginal presence at the Forks, that's how we started 17 years ago. And we're still doing it. Now we're trying to get out of it. Now we're mentoring other people to do it. So we do storytelling with children on Thursdays, school programming, and then public programming on Sundays. So come and visit us, and come and cook your own bannock and eat it, because I'm not eating it. But that's just part of the things that we do in the community. It's not just to represent just ourselves, but to represent our community, to make sure there's visibility there. So, Nikwech, thank you.
I don't know, go ahead.
Want to share something?
I don't know that the Millennium Library would have asked us to do a second session. But the lady, our contact person, sat in all 4 sessions. We did it on Wednesdays at lunchtime. And so we taught them about 15 words. Words that would be used in a conversation, like around the house, like sweep the floor web again, and cook and this and that and all that. But there was a young couple who came all 4 sessions, and then on the last session, of course, obviously, I guess they've been practicing all this time, so she says to him to sweep, and the lady, our contact person, sitting at the back, to sweep. She's telling him to sweep, and then he doesn't want to do it. So he says, "Pagitun," in other words, be quiet. He's telling his wife this in front of everybody, and she keeps telling him these different action words that he didn't want to do. So, and I saw her, and you know how when somebody gets it, there's, oh, you see the light go on. This is only 4 sessions, and they're in the 3rd session. They're having a conversation, an argument. So it does work, so, and I know that I was listening to a program someplace along the way, sort of thing, and they were talking about a language program. And we do it unstructured. In other words, dialogue. Because everybody else does it English-based, which is wrong, because it doesn't work that way. The children that we're teaching can hold a conversation. So if you want to learn Ojibwe, learn it unstructured, because that's the right way to learn it. If you learn it by going to, I shouldn't dissuade you from going to university. At universities, they have lesson plans, subject, verb, object, and all this and everything else on the sentence structuring. They base it on English sentence structuring. So when we, as first speakers, talk to them, they're kind of disjointed because they're using English structuring to converse with us who are not using that. So there is a difference. And just the other day I was talking to someone who just came from a session and was going back into a session, and they're talking about language with the province. And then I said, I hope you do it unstructured. She said, what do you mean? I said, not English-based. She said, that's exactly what we were talking about this morning. Because they're finding out that the people they're talking with who are trying to bring in to teach the language don't use English structure. And it's like that with every Aboriginal language. It's not structured the same way. So anyway.
I'm dropping out tomorrow.
Oh yeah. I'll see you at.
Thank you, Barb and Clarence, for sharing that. I think that any of us who know you really appreciate all the love that you demonstrate to all of the community. So thank you very much. To share a few words, I want to call up Jim Compton, who's the creative director at the Adam Beach Film Institute.
Bonjour, den vangen dok. Ik weet je wie jij. Zeg ik weet je, dus because. Maar qua tot dem, kies je moest dan je. Kiewak is in de moon, kies je de maatje win te go at zoeken. I'm reminded of those words from the time we went out fasting. And, Clarence, myself, and my late father, Tobasan, but we went out and 7 of us, yeah, we fasted on 3 islands out in Ontario, and we fasted for I believe 4 days, and it was tough. It rained, and of course, you know, we're tough Anishinaabe, and of course we had to have sweat first, and by the end of it we were like whipped dogs, I'd say. But the reason we went out was to seek a vision for Fred Kelly's pipe, which is my uncle, and it was a pipe that was given to him and by his mother, and we needed to honor that pipe and find a vision through that pipe, and then of course we were there for Clarence as well. So we prayed hard, and we endured, and we came up with a vision for that pipe. But I think that you know, when I'm talking to Jessica, and we sat down here, and we asked a bunch of questions about, you know, what we wanted to do, what vision that we wanted to come up with for this ACI. I'm not sure what we're calling it, but so we brainstormed and everything else. But that's what we're all here for. We're here to seek a vision, to understand why we're here as people, as a person, and what we can do to move that vision forward, and what we can do for our people, right? You know, lately, as Jessica says, I've embarked on something called the Adam Beach Film Institute, and I've been working, say almost like that fast that we had. It's been tough, and it's been hard, and we've endured. And you know, I think, you know, 2 years, 3 years in, we're finally getting some traction with that institute. You know, we launched it at the place called the Ellis Cafe, which housed the institute. We put up a sign. Lately we opened a little restaurant called the Feast. Have you heard of the Feast? If you like bison burgers and pick roll and elk sliders, that's the place to go. But and every Indian taco, we get 50 cents out of that. So I mean, so it's you know, those little things, and you know, we're trying to do some stuff over there with the theater, and you know, trying to create a buzz and move the vision of the Adam Beach Film Institute forward. So I'll just let you know that when we first started researching the institute and the industry, we found out that in Canada, and that was 3 years ago, it's a $7 billion industry. And what did Aboriginal people get out of that, other than APTN, right? It was like 0.002% of that $7 billion. So we started pushing that envelope, and Clarence, he comes up everywhere, this guy. On that same territory where we fasted,
Yes.
Clarence was in our movie. The movie's going to be released this fall, or no, this spring, sorry, probably this summer. And you know, it's kind of prophetic that, you know, we're moving forward on that same territory. But so that's the idea of the institute. The institute is to certainly trigger movies. By the way, that movie is called Juliana and the Medicine Fish. So if you're walking down, you're walking down the street, you see a billboard with, or a marquee, sorry, with Juliana and the Medicine Fish on it. Go and see that movie. They'll give us 50 cents for every time. Anyway, so along with that, we started for the first time this spring. We started the training for the institute, which incorporates it's called Enhanced Filmmaking Techniques, and it's looking at everything that you need to do a film like we had just shot. But the idea is to train Aboriginal people and get them involved in those films. And we had, out of the 10 students, we had 3 students that were working on that film. So that's the idea. It may not work out that way all the time, but there's many jobs in the film industry, right from camera work, like right there, sound, building sets, you know, whatever. And there's $7 billion in it in Canada, and a lot of people don't know that, but we want to get a piece of the pie. And if you go to our website, which is the Adam Beach Film Institute, we did a little video which basically encompasses everything I just said here. And Adam is the, I guess, the patriarch of it, the mover and shaker, the brand. And he's going to bring to, and he has brought to the fore, you know, his connections, his knowledge, and his influence to the Institute. Where are we today? We are launching our second training course in April 4th. It's on the website. We have applied for money to sponsor 12 Aboriginal people from across Canada and opening doors to the north, because, you know, we had people from the PA, northern Saskatchewan, all the way from New York State in our course last year, and we want to be able to get them here, get them a laptop, an Apple laptop, a good Apple laptop, right, Terry? You know what I'm talking about.
I still want to see.
But yeah, so basically, and then you know, you get them some housing and you get them settled. I mean, when we ran the course, we have a partnership with Red River, it's down the street. They all stayed in the residence. We got them discounts. We got them food, and all they had to do was show up for class. And well, the idea is to get them a calling card, basically do a short film with you know, all the top quality cameras that are available in Hollywood we have here, and we train them on that, so they get hands-on on that. So that's us. We want to connect with all of you. We want to be, well, we are part of the community, and we want to see how we can help out and share and work together. So with that, we invite you. Well, then, see you again.
Thank you very much, Jim. So, if, grab a report, if you haven't already done that, take one with you. They're also loaded on our website under Indigenous resources, so you'll have access to the document that you're taking with you, plus some of the related documents that were developed as the research was going on. You can also find more information on the programs that Tom referred to, our OJA-Tune and our Train the Trainer program that's coming up in the next couple of months. So that information can be found online. And I have some thank yous. I'd like to say thank you to Barbara Niepenak, who's part of this process, Jazz de Montigny, sorry, Nicole Choptain, I should have asked how to pronounce those before I said them, of Choptain Consultant, Leah Fontaine, Alicia Fosher, Carol Finley, the staff and board of ACI Manitoba Inc., all our generous participants from across the province, and the province of Manitoba jobs in the economy in tourism, culture, heritage, sport, and consumer protection. And I'd also like to say thank you to Kate Vermette, who's the Indigenous Programs Manager here at ACI. And also thank you to thank you to Jamie, who's doing the recording today, and this will also be uploaded on our website in the Indigenous resources in a couple of weeks. And Jamie is ACI's communication coordinator, thank you. And thank you very much, Tom Sparling. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day and utilize the report as much as possible. Thank you very much.